Zadondaini, Electro Ninja here, and welcome back to Electro Ninja's Lab. In today's video, we are going to be talking about Yakuza Reincarnation. Yes, I'm talking about an isekai in today's video. Now, obviously, I know that probably a lot of you are looking at this video and thinking, great, he's going to tell us about an isekai. Everyone knows how great isekai are. Trust me, this is one that if you aren't necessarily an isekai fan, this might actually be one that you will actually find interesting. Because unlike a lot of other isekai, which are basically just fan service and power fantasies, this takes that concept and throws it in a completely different direction. Well, not completely. Rather than having a extreme nerd who is, well, not the most powerful person in the world and turning them into the most powerful person in the world, this takes one of the most powerful people in Japan and just shows that if they have free reign, they basically will become unstoppable. And by that I mean a Yakuza member becoming an actual isekai protagonist, and it is so stupid and so funny. You'll just love it. Now, the story actually starts with a prophecy, and I want to read this before I actually tell you about this series. In an age of darkness, a hero who carries the goddess on his back is an augur of fortune. Now, the reason that this is important is because right after that, we are introduced to our protagonist, who is a, well, leader of the Yakuza. And he happens to have, as his main tattoo, a tattoo on his back that is of a goddess. Specifically a Japanese goddess. And that is one of the few things that actually carries over with him when he goes into this other world. Pretty much everything else, he just becomes a woman. He becomes this princess of a nation, and he has no idea what exactly is going on. Honestly, I still have no idea what's going on, and I've read both volumes that are currently out here in America. But that's kind of the fun thing, because unlike a lot of other isekai, where the protagonist already has some basic understanding of how the magic system works, because of the fact that they are a nerd and they've done stuff like this before, this takes someone who literally has no understanding of fantasy and throws them into a fantasy world, and basically the only reason that he's powerful is because he was powerful in the real world, and now he has the strength of a younger person, and he's no longer an old man. That is what he was before he comes into this world. And honestly, it's really fun to see that he just basically becomes this ultimate hero because he happens to be someone who was very powerful in the real world. And honestly, I kind of love this character, because while he is a Yakuza, aka a bad guy, he has strict morals. He will never, honestly, I would say that he would be maybe lawful evil if we were to take stuff from D&D. But at the same time, maybe not. Maybe lawful good, because he is a good guy. He does care about people. But at the same time, like, he's not afraid to throw hands with somebody who he considers bad, whether that be specifically like the cops or knights or whoever. But one thing that he stands for is no drugs and don't harm innocents. Period. Those are his two rules. Just those two. No drugs and don't harm innocents. That's it. And he stands with with people in this series because they are innocents. And rather than beating the shit out of somebody who is he does beat the shit out of somebody who is a bad guy, but rather than executing him like his peers say, or like his assistants say, he chooses to let the guy live and understand that if he doesn't serve the people, he will be punished. Because, yeah, it's amazing. And now there is a lot of stuff with this that is pretty complicated, and if you are under a certain age, you probably should not read this series, or anything, because it may be teen plus for as for 7 Seas, but at the same time, I would not recommend this to anyone who is at least 18 years old, because this series has a lot of cussing and a lot of mature topics. They don't actually say a certain word for a certain drug, but they clearly make it clear that this is the drug that he's talking about. And it's not good, to say the least. It is one of the hardest drugs in the world. And he understands that that the drug of this world, which is called Witchin, is basically that drug. And he is extremely against this drug. But these drugs are important to how the world functions. Just like how illegal drugs here in America or other places, they are out there and people need to know that they do exist and to be careful of them. But it does blatantly talk about them. And also, like I said, there's a lot of cussing in this. If you are not comfortable with cussing, then do not read this. There is no nudity, so if you are worried about that whole situation, don't be. Even though even in his female body, he has no care whatsoever if people see him without clothes. They still never show any nudity. Everything is covered, always, no matter what type of thing it is. The only things that they don't cover is that, they cover everything that is important, to say the least. So don't be worried about that if you are someone who has problems with nudity. This is not one of those series. The biggest problems is the discussion on drugs and the discussion on curse words, which obviously that's one of the reasons why I'm careful to say anything here on YouTube, because obviously YouTube gets a little bit pissy about any curse words said, and they say them a lot. Like, one of the chapters is actually called, Shit Stirrer. That's not a joke. That is actually the name of one of the chapters. And yeah, always just be aware of that if you're going to be getting into this series. That there is cursing and there is a lot of just discussion on drugs and other adult things. There's discussion on gambling, there's discussion on a lot of other things, and even to a certain degree, there is some discussion on sex. They don't actually show anything, but at the same time, there is discussion on that. That's one of the reasons why I'm cautious to introduce you guys to this series. It is an amazing series, and I do think that you should read it at some point and understand what this actually is. But also understand that this is a glorified version of stories. If you think that you're going to learn anything about Yakuza, don't, because there is some very big things that are different about this. This is basically glorified Yakuza, kind of like the Yakuza video games. Obviously different and honestly, the character is a good guy in this, while in the Yakuza video games, I don't think that they actually are the good guys in any way, shape, or form. But just be aware that there is a lot of heavy topics that, if you are under a certain age, then obviously don't read this series, because if you can't understand a lot of these subtle context and subtle discussion, then maybe avoid this series. But if you love a hilarious series that does delve into mature topics, then absolutely give this series a shot. Honestly, this series is very similar to things like No Guns Life or Zom 100. Those tackle very mature topics, and with a fun little way to handle them. And there's lots of other series like that. If you like series that tackle mature topics but are framed in a way that is fun and energetic, then this might be the series for you. And honestly, I love this series. If you ever get the chance to read it, please do, because it is a lot of fun. And seriously, Seven Seas, I've never seen them fail with, okay, maybe there are a few series that have not been great, but, they've done an amazing job. Reincarnated as a freaking sword is amazing. And there's many others that I could just give examples. So, absolutely give this a shot and check it out. But anyways, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to leave a like, leave your thoughts and theories down in the comments below. And of course, if you are going to leave any theories, make sure to say theory review somewhere in a comment. And of course, if you want to support the channel even more, then definitely head down to the description and check out all of our links down there. But anyways, guys, I've been Electro Ninja, and I will see you guys next time. But on! Joseph from the hip, everyone was Kodaki and fighting. Fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. They thought with extra timing.